Steeler Nation, we are back with another week of episodes, and we have a very, very special guest, WTAE own Andrew Stockey. He's been around for a while, the man, the myth, the legend. We already have Michael Nicastro. Now we're bringing on another legend. Sammy, let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
All right, Jordan, you said it. If you own a television in Pittsburgh, you're probably quite familiar with our next guest. He absolutely has a CVS receipt of accomplishments. You mentioned it, WTAE. He's a sports director over there, news anchor, sports anchor, of course, has covered it all. We're thrilled to welcome in none other than Andrew Stockey. Andrew.
Gentlemen, thank you for having me. And by the way, I love that open. It's sick.
Thank you.
No pun intended.
Shout out to the team. Shout out to Aniello and Sammy. They put in all the blood, sweat, and tears on that. And the best dressed man in show business, by the way. I mean, come on now.
I thank you very much. As you know, I try to look my best. They always say dress for the job you want and the job you have.
Yes, which is why Jordan and I are failing miserably on this pod. No, I'm just kidding. Once again, absolute pleasure. We're excited to talk Steelers with you naturally over here on the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy. Big year, of course, for Kenny Pickett coming up, Andrew. Second year, of course, you kind of get that rookie season where you have a pass to, in a sense, out of the way. What are your expectations for him entering this second year?
Big growth for him. I mean, he's going to start with the starting job right out of the gate, coming into training camp. He's the guy, and that's something he wasn't a year ago. And I think that confidence is going to help. He's somebody who's worked really hard in the offseason, worked with quarterback coaches and his trainers. Knowing him from college, and I covered him all 4 years of college at Pitt, his growth every year has been dramatic. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. I don't think he's going to be like this franchise quarterback out of the box, but he's going to take some major leaps and major steps. And I think the other thing that's exciting for me is the fact the guys are on board with him. I mean, last year, yes, he was the starting quarterback, but not everybody was on board because they didn't know him from the start. Everybody thought Mitch Trubisky would be the starting quarterback. Now that Kenny is the guy, everybody will rally around him. And I expect big things out of Kenny. I'm just excited to see what he can do now that he's had a year under his belt and now that he knows from day one he doesn't have to look over his shoulder.
Yeah, his supporting cast obviously will be critical to his success. Omar Khan helped build that supporting cast, obviously through the draft, through free agency, kind of had a different feel to the Steelers offseason in the post-Kevin Colbert era. What do you make of his offseason, Andrew? Were you a fan of what he did, Omar Khan?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I can't think of a time where the Steelers got so deep and got so much better in the offseason and made so many acquisitions in such a short period of time. I mean, everything from the receiving core, definitely the offensive line is a major improvement. It's deeper. In the secondary, I mean, a guy like Patrick Peterson, you've got some experience there. I love everything they've done. It's really kind of exciting. It's a different Steeler team. In many ways, maybe they got a little bit older because of some of those acquisitions, but those guys, they know what they're doing. And I do believe that, older players can help younger players. I mean, I think in many ways, yes, we expect that, but I think these guys actually want to do that. And just to hear the conversations, like a guy like Allen Robinson coming in there, he's been there a very short period of time, what he likes about Kenny Pickett, what he likes about his teammates, what he likes about this receiving core. It really is remarkable what Omar Khan has done in a very short period of time, putting a stamp on the Steelers. Now the question is, okay, you're a great team on paper. You've done everything you need to do. What happens when you finally get out of football in shorts and you actually put the pads on and start playing games?
All changes there. You covered the Steelers for a while. What are some of your favorite stories or maybe like interactions with players that were memorable to you?
Well, it's amazing. Well, it's funny. I started back in 1995, and the first year I got here, they go to the Super Bowl. So I assumed, okay, we do this every year here. Well, it was another 10 years before it happened.
That was a great start.
It was a fantastic start. That was when they beat the Colts
Yeah,
on that.
Neil O'Donnell, I think that was.
Oh, Neil O'Donnell. Yep, the
Yeah.
2 interceptions. I think for me, the fun has been not just so much winning Super Bowls, which are great, of course. Being there for Super Bowl 40 and Super Bowl 43 were great. Not just winning these fantastic playoff games, like beating the Ravens on the Palomalu interception in the AFC Championship game in 2009, or coming back to beat the Jets. It's more getting to know these guys and getting to know them over the years. You probably know I'm a member of the Steelers Hall of Honor Committee. So I'm part of the group that elects the Hall of Honor. And it's been wonderful to see these guys when they go in and talk to them and get to know them as people and hear about, the friendships they still have. I mean, guys like, James Ferrier, guys like, Cordell Stewart, Mike Tomczak, Jerome Bettis. That's been the most fun for me. But in terms of great memories, I think that 95 AFC playoff game when they beat the Colts to get to Super Bowl 30 was huge because I was behind the Steeler bench when Jim Harbaugh threw the Hail Mary pass that could have won it for Indianapolis. And all I know is the ball disappeared and it was silence. And I was like, oh God, please, they didn't lose this game, did they? And all of a sudden you hear the cheering. So that was great. The victory in 2005 in Indianapolis, where they had to win that game to get the AFC title game. And when Jerome Bettis fumbled at the 1-yard line. And Roethlisberger made the tackle that saved the day. That was, it was heart-stopping. It was exciting. One other memory I'll quickly share with you was, that Super Bowl 30 that they lost to Dallas. It was in Tempe, Arizona, about as far away from Pittsburgh as you can possibly be. I've never seen so many Steeler fans in one place other than at Heinz Field or Acrisure Stadium. It was a Steeler home game. The terrible towels waving. You couldn't find a Cowboy fan. And it was really sad to me that they lost that game because I think LeVon Kirkland would have been the MVP the way he played had they won that game. Basically those 2 passes by Neil O'Donnell cost them a Super Bowl that I think they probably should have won.
Those are all great memories. It's just great hearing it from someone who was there and experienced it. What's next on your list? And just tell people where they can find you. We know you're on WTAE obviously, but if you have any other things you're working on or where people can check out your work.
Well, I'm on social media all the time. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook as well. LinkedIn, believe it or not, is a great place to communicate with people. But pretty much every night here at WTAE, I'm doing the early newscast now. As you know, I split my time between news and sports. Yes. Still anchoring the 6 and 11 o'clock newscast. We're getting ready for training camp. Also, this year, WTAE will have a Monday night Steelers game when they host the Browns in week 2 of the season. It's going to be 18th, I believe, of September. We're doing a big 90-minute pregame show. We'll have postgame coverage, so it's a pretty big weekend as well. And also, we're getting ready, of course, here for high school football. We do a lot of that here at Channel 4 on Friday nights. So, pretty much if you turn on Channel 4, you'll probably see me ad nauseum, probably too much. You'll probably be like, okay, is there?
When do you find time to sleep? Do you sleep at this? Do you sleep at the station?
We're taking us
Especially during
podcast
football
time. This
season.
would be it right now.
Somebody said to me I should get a talk show. I'm like, when do I have time? Honestly, I'm so busy. The good thing is we have a great staff here of people. Emily John Greco is our sports reporter who is at Steeler camp all the time, does a fantastic job. We have Ashley Lyotis, our other reporter in sports, who does a fantastic job. So there's lots of staff behind us to make my life a little bit easier. But you know what? You don't mind being busy in this town. This is a great sports town. I've been very fortunate to be here for 28 years and see it all. And you know what? I never get bored because I always know something interesting is going to happen in Pittsburgh sports.
I think I read this recently, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're from Connecticut? Is that?
I grew up in Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay. I know I seen something. I think I was like reading an article recently, and it was.
Just so you know, I'm not a Patriot fan. Never was.
Okay.
Even though I grew up about an hour from Foxborough. Didn't like the Patriots were bad when I was in high school, so let's not go there. No, I grew up in Connecticut, but I've lived here. This is where I've been. This is 28 years of my life, and basically, when I'm not working, I either play golf or I play ice hockey. Those are the 2 things I do.
Easy Yinzer.
Yeah,
we're claiming him.
I need the accent though. Can I be a Yinzer though? It's been 28 years.
Of course.
Listen, you're on the Yinzer Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Only because I've been here way too long. That's what
Man.
happened.
That's longevity is a good thing. So that is what matters. And we really appreciate you coming on the show. One more thing before, I just wanted to, what would be a successful Steelers season? Is it just a playoff berth? Is it a playoff win? What would you consider? What would Andrew Stockey consider a success for the Steelers this year?
Okay, obviously Steeler Nation was a Super Bowl. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, honestly, I think a playoff appearance, because if you look at this division, I mean, right now they're still the third best team in this division. And then you got to figure in, you got Buffalo, you got Kansas City, you've got Jacksonville, you've got a lot of other really good teams. And somebody's going to make that leap up to join that group this year. So I think getting into the playoffs would be a success. I think winning would be fantastic. But I just think getting there, because, I mean, this is a conference now where 10-7 doesn't guarantee your playoff spot. Think about that.
Yeah.
10 wins doesn't guarantee you anything. So I think getting into the playoffs would be great and fantastic. I have them right now at 10-7. That could change depending on training camp. But right now, I look at the schedule. I think 10-7 is very possible. 11-6 possibly. But the Steelers, there's one game they win every year. They have no business winning. They have one game they play every year.
I say this all the time.
Yeah. So that balances out. But I think getting into the playoffs is a success, because I think you're going up this hill, this ladder, and then next season, I think next season is a season they break out.
You heard it here. If Andrew said it, it must be right. Well, hey, we really appreciate your time, and we'll have to do it again sometime. And we look forward to your coverage all season, and we can't wait to see what you guys got cooking over there. So thanks again for coming
Andrew.
on.
Thank you. Would love to join you later this season, but please have a great summer, guys.
You too.
Really enjoy it.
Take care.
You too.
Be safe.
Yeah, really cool stuff. A team, obviously, he went over all these teams, the stacked AFC. And it's easy when you go through them to forget the New York Jets. I mean, just another team right there that's going to be standing in the Steelers' way. It's a team last year that beat Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium with Zach Wilson at quarterback. They trade him for Aaron Rodgers. That team almost made the playoffs without a quarterback, and now you get a two-time MVP. So just another team to add to that list of Kansas City, Buffalo, the Jets, the Chargers, the Bengals, the Jaguars. It's a stacked AFC. But like we always say, man, you get in the playoffs, you have a chance. You get in the dance, you have a chance. He brought up the Indianapolis game in 2005. The Steelers were a 6 seed that year, made the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl. So you never know. The ball bounces your way once you get in the dance, man.
Well, that's what I said about last year, too. I think if we would have gotten into the playoffs,
They're hot.
I think we would have been dangerous. I mean, you see teams as wild cards like the Steelers in the past make a Super Bowl run. It's inevitable that it's going to happen. I think that Steeler fans just need to ask themselves or tell themselves, is it going to happen sooner or later? Because I think there's a 5-year window. Like if you win a Super Bowl 4 or 5 years, like it was a success. But, the NFL is tough. The AFC is tough. I mean, I was just looking at the quarterbacks in the AFC right before this episode, and I was just like, man, because, the verdict's still out on a lot of these guys like Russell Wilson. Is he going to bounce back? Is Aaron Rodgers going to, perform in New York? Is Lamar Jackson going to play? Or
it's going to be healthy, right?
Know.
Deshaun Watson, another one. Who knows what you're going to get from him? The Browns is the Browns, but
that's why the NFL is the best. But we all know who number one is, the Pittsburgh Steelers. But just another great episode. Again, Andrew Stockey, someone who I literally been watching on my television for a decade at least. So just to have him on here and knack his brain as always, it's great. He had some great insightful things. We'll definitely have to have him back on soon.
Make sure you go back in the channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't watched recent episodes, you better check them out. We had Larry Ogunjobi on the show. Big Larry O, he doesn't do a lot of podcast appearances. You don't see him out there in the media talking to everybody. He's not always, posting reels, TikToks. He's not, posting some motivational quotes on Instagram, but he's never really talking in terms of podcasts. So we were lucky to have him on. He really opened up to us, sat down with us for 20 minutes, was very thoughtful, gave some insight on how he grew up and got into football, and then the trials and tribulations.
I wanted to tell you,
came with the Browns maybe for a little bit, and then the ups and downs of his career in life. It was a cool interview.
So it's really cool because, we had Alex Highsmith on when we had the Chris Wormley show, and, love his dad and his family, just awesome people. Shout out to them. But basically what I was getting at is their community in Charlotte. As soon as we dropped that episode, I seen like, just Charlotte University for like it's just like, I mean, because he really was the first. That's a big deal, and it's cool that that him and Highsmith went there. So it's just all around good stuff, man. I mean, these stories are great. And then this is what we do in the off season. There's still storyline, and then training camp comes. And as we told Larry, it's back to work. He's in grind mode. Like it's lights out. Yeah. Do not disturb mode.
Yeah, true. That's what I'm in right now.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, man. Well, we just want to thank you guys for hanging with us. As always, it's been another great episode of the Sick Podcast. Follow us, listen to us, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your aunt, uncle. We're just talking Steeler football and having some fun. The best in the biz. Sammy, let's get to it.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.